unpredictable weather. But nothing could have prepared him for what he would encounter on a seemingly ordinary overnight hike in November 2021. What started as another peaceful trek into the woods soon spiraled into a night of terror, leaving Phil questioning who or what was out there with him in the wilderness. The beginning of something strange. It was the night before Thanksgiving. The air was sharp with cold, the trees stood silent, and the only sound was the rhythmic crunch of Phil's boots against the forest floor as he made his way along the Appalachian Trail near his home in Virginia. Everything felt calm, undisturbed, normal. At first, about 30 minutes into his hike, something odd caught his eye. Trash littered the side of the trail. Unusual, but not entirely unheard of. Yet as he got closer, he realized this wasn't just any garbage. The items, plastic containers, scraps of paper, had something written on them. Scrawled in frantic, erratic handwriting were song lyrics, snippets of poems, strange and disjointed phrases. The words were desperate, messy, like they had been scribbled in some kind of frenzy. A chill ran through him. Why would someone take the time to write on these objects, only to discard them deep in the woods? As he continued walking, the bizarre notes became more frequent. Some spoke of government conspiracies, secret agents, and cryptic warnings. Others were deeply personal, almost like diary entries from a mind unraveling. Each one was fresh. No sign of weather damage, no dampness from the elements. Someone had left them recently. Then, his flashlight beam swept over something that made his breath hitch. A dead duck. It lay motionless, its feathers still intact, its body limp but not yet decomposed. A sickening realization settled over him. The duck had been placed there. On purpose. Right next to one of the notes. Phil's instinct screamed at him to turn back. Something wasn't right. But he pressed on, documenting the eerie discovery for his viewers, hoping, perhaps foolishly, that there was some kind of rational explanation. The shelter, the fire, and the stranger. Not long after, he reached the boundary where the trail transitioned into deeper wilderness. The deeper he ventured, the more off everything began to feel. The forest, once peaceful, now carried an oppressive silence. Even the wind had stilled, and then he saw it. Just ahead, about 20 yards from the trail, a small campsite stood hidden among the trees. A crude shelter made of a tarp. A fire, still burning, its flames licking hungrily at the cold night air. Someone was here, but Phil couldn't see who. A sudden rustling from the trees sent a spike of adrenaline through him. He wasn't alone. Someone, possibly the person who had written those notes, was nearby, watching. At that exact moment, two figures appeared from the trail ahead. Two women hiking with their dog. Relief flooded Phil until he noticed their expressions. Wide-eyed, nervous. One of them spoke first, her voice laced with urgency. "Have you seen the guy?" Phil felt his stomach tighten. "What guy?" "The one leaving all the creepy notes, and the dead animals." Phil hesitated, then pointed toward the burning fire in the distance. "There's a campsite just over there. Their faces drained of color. Can you walk back with us?" One of them asked, her voice trembling slightly. Phil didn't hesitate. Something in the air, something primal, warned him that staying near that fire was a mistake. Without another word, he turned and walked with them back down the trail. Once they reached their cars, the women thanked him and hurried off, their dog whining as if sensing danger. Phil stood there for a moment, debating whether to call it a night. But something inside him, the same pull that had led him to explore the woods all these years, urged him forward. He wasn't ready to give up just yet. He turned and headed deeper into the forest, aiming for a shelter farther away, somewhere he hoped would be safer. The shelter log's dark secret. When he finally reached the next shelter, exhaustion weighed on him. He set up camp, built a fire, and tried to shake the unease that had been trailing him all night. That's when he spotted the shelter logbook. Most Appalachian trail shelters had one. Small journals where hikers left messages, notes about their travels, sometimes even funny anecdotes. Curious, Phil flipped it open, scanning the recent entries, and then he froze. The handwriting. It was identical to the writing on the notes and containers he had found